So welcome to Profile 3 TV, and today we're very excited to have Louise O'Connor join us, and we're going to talk about digital transformation, mentoring, and so many other things. So Louise, thank you very much for taking time out to talk to us today.
Thanks, Kieran. Thanks for inviting me.
Excellent. So first things first, you wouldn't tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so I actually grew up moving country every 5 years. Irish, both Irish parents. Dad worked with Enterprise Ireland, and I started my career I finished my European Baccalaureate in Brussels. I did my degree in French and Italian. I then did a Master's in International Marketing. Way before digital age, we're talking back school of Proctor's 4Ps. And then I moved to Rome, and I was working for the UN for 2.5 years. And in the United Nations, having grown up abroad, it was a completely different experience with culture. So I was working in the only mother tongue English person in the Central and Western Africa division on projects and workshops, and switching between 6 languages on a daily basis. So it was from then that I moved back to Dublin, and I suppose I started my digital career journey then. I think the way to describe digital transformation is that I grew up the first half of my life analog. There was no digital. When I did my degree, my master's, when I was traveling all these years, I was writing letters, making mixtapes, doing everything, sending it by post. And so then when I moved into the digital, I started in a world where email was just something that happened. I wrote my first time I used the computer was to write my 60,000 word thesis, and I can promise you at the end of it, I never wanted to see a computer again.
Oh, brilliant. So, sounds incredible. What a journey. Wow. So you've traveled all of Europe and the UN, and then you speak a few languages, and a few more than me.
Yeah, just a few.
Incredible. So, and then today, so obviously you've got project management experience, you've got the experience from being on the road, and you go in and work with businesses today.
I do. So I think the easiest way to explain, I find the word digital transformation a little bit too scary for companies. So I basically just go in and I grow and scale companies internationally. Digital transformation, because the world was analog before, everything is now digital. So for me, digital transformation in its simplest terms is just a business strategy to drive growth, innovation, value creation, and cost reduction. And using digital and technology means. I think that's the simplest way of doing it. Most companies understand they need to grow or they need to scale. What they don't understand is that generally there's something wrong if they're not growing, so they're stuck. So when I go in to join companies, I join with the senior management team, and I work through a strategy process that I've kind of learned over the last few years and last few companies. And this can be anything from startups, SMEs to international. There's always a reason why a company isn't growing. And so working with that, understanding what the biggest challenge is, and that isn't money. It's usually you're stuck for a different reason. You might want to make money, but if you're not making it, there's something wrong with the company. So once you identify what that is, I build out the roadmaps. I suppose I then implement the digital strategies, revenue, sales models, marketing function, teams, and just scale the business through digital transformation growth.
Incredible. Amazing. I think that's probably one of the best definitions I've ever heard of digital transformation. It actually makes sense now. And I work, as you say, companies would be having heart attacks. I actually work in the digital space, and sometimes, we overcomplicate things. And what is digital transformation? So I think you summed it up perfectly there. So thank you very much. And do you find a big difference between startups and more mature companies when it comes to digital transformation?
The challenge and the structure itself is very similar. There's a reason they're stuck, and you need to understand what that is. And it's asking that question, why. So I'll probably repeat this a few times during it, but the whole reason of why you need transformation or change, you need to understand your reason. And that's the core thing. So the main difference would be that startups need to scale faster. They have limited amount of budget, limited amount of time, and either they make an impression fast and they get the funding, or they can go under very, very quickly. But then again, they're more agile, so they can move quicker. Whereas bigger companies need to grow and change as well. It takes longer. And sometimes you're dealing with companies who've been around 20, 30 years. They're stuck in a certain process, and change just isn't as quick as startups. So the challenge is the same, but it's different ways of handling how you need to scale or how you need to deal with, I suppose, with founders and C-level suites.
Incredible, and the variety of dealing with these companies, the challenges. It sounds what an interesting job you have. Going in and trouble. It's brilliant. And have you found that that the term digital transformation has evolved over the last couple of years? And is it a new term? Is it something that's only happened a lot? It's a hot word from the last couple of years.
So I heard it, I think, for the first time about 8 or 9 years ago, and I got quite excited because it actually described what I did. I think I would have always been put into a marketing bracket or simple, which is a background in marketing, but it's different when you're taking companies and going through change management and building out teams, processes, and you're working across the company. So when I heard it first, I was like, oh, this is great. I understand what this is. This finally I can use it. And then I started realizing that companies didn't understand. It's quite a scary term, digital transformation. We're changing our whole company. How much is this going to cost us? What do we need to do? So it's a scary term in some senses. And I think people are using the term in very different ways. When I look at like the Big Four or any of the big consultancies, they would use that as, we are digital transformation experts. Here's what you're doing wrong. Here's how we can help you to do it. If you look at some of the big tech companies, they'll use that as a sales tool. And if you look at their job specs, it's very much a sales. Go in, tell them what they're doing wrong, tell them why they need to buy our services, platform, technology in order to improve. So they're not the ways that I would describe digital transformation. It's more about the entire journey of bringing a company from one place to the next place in order to grow.
Amazing. Again, no, it's all becoming clear at last. Where have you been for the last couple of years as I was trying to get my head around what digital transformation is? And then, as you say, then I realized actually it's something that we should be doing and part of our journey every day. And it can be a load of different things to different people. So, it's very, very interesting. And when you go into a company, what's the first process, or what do you do? What's the journey?
I usually spend time within the IT department and developers and understand what is the platform. Also speak with sales teams. What's the challenge that companies are facing? What is the terminology they're using? What's the positioning? Then working with where the company wants to be. So if I look at some examples, I went into one company in the UK not that long ago, about 8 years ago, and they just said, we just need to be on the World Wide Web. This is only 8 years ago. They were really established leaders in their market completely. But they were predominantly offline in the events business, and they run global events worldwide to help universities and business schools recruit international students. And they ran these events. But the events business was starting to decline. And it was only by asking why they were looking to do this now. So I remember the CEO saying, we've had 3 people in this role before. Why do you think you can make any difference or do anything differently? And it was understanding the why. What was the biggest challenge that was happening within that? And because of the decline in one side of their company, they needed to grow the online side, which means I understood they needed to grow communities and build out digital offerings for their clients. And the pain that they had was that the universities themselves didn't know how to stand out and build their brand awareness online the way that they had always done previously. So within the first few 9 months, long 9 months, I launched 2 global websites simultaneously, built out communities, built out a digital department, by which at the end of 4.5 years, we had a team of over 50 people, front-end developers, back-end developers, UX, UI. And this is where it can get daunting. People say, oh gosh, there's so much money in it, but we only hired as the revenue started coming in. We then built out the marketing function, from ad operations to social media to content writers to from B2C and a B2B angle, so both sides of it. And it's that piece of just not being too daunted at the beginning, but understanding that as you grow and you see revenue increasing, that's when you can start investing to grow further. And by the end, we increased it over 9,000% revenue, digital revenue.
Wow, incredible, incredible. And is digital strategy then something that's part and parcel of the process?
So yeah, so that's where I'll come back down to. Digital strategy is basically a business strategy. Everything we do now is digital. We live in the digital world. So if you're trying to separate a digital strategy and adding on digital to your business, it's not part of your core essence. And so I think when I first started out in digital transformation, everyone was moving, we need a website. We just need a website. It's like, well, what do you want it to do? Do you want it just to showcase it? Is it just a brand awareness? Is it so people find you? Are you trying to build communities? Are you trying to drive e-commerce? Are you trying to expand? There's different reasons why you need digital. So I think a lot of the biggest challenges is that they see digital as an add-on as opposed to the actual strategy, whereas a business strategy just has to include digital.
Incredible. You've just given away one of my biggest secrets in our digital strategies that we work with businesses on, as you say. But it's incredible. But it is. It's people actually need to realize that you're totally right. The business plan is the digital plan. It is the same. The strategy is the same. Having them separate is the wrong mindset to start with. It is all one, and it's amazing how many businesses don't see that just yet, but we'll change it one business at a time, but we're getting there.
It's great for us because we know, I think the part that I feel most privileged about is having been most of my life, or first half of my life, analog, and seeing this entire change and transformation, because then you can understand the mindset of people and companies who've been around 20 or 30 years and just don't understand what they're trying to achieve or how they're trying to grow. So I think it's a huge privilege having seen both. I think people coming in as native or digital natives don't understand how to bring people on the journey if they haven't been involved in what was predominantly offline and analog living.
It's amazing. As you say, it wasn't that long ago. Again, I remember myself, incredible, the journey and how things have changed, and we're about to get 5G on our mobiles now, which will be 10 to 15 times faster than 4G, and video, and then we voice, and the changes just never stop. It's incredible.
Not to mention blockchain, AI, ML, and all the new acronyms coming out.
So, but in fairness, you can, we can understand why some businesses do struggle to keep up and get a little bit worried that, okay, I'm not techie, and what is all this and what does it mean? But it is, I guess that's where they need to bring in some help and advice and get some insight into what's happening around. And I guess the way you work then, because you're going into different businesses, you've got insight into many different industries as well.
Yeah, I think that's the part that I love the most, but it's also quite challenging because people specialize in something, or they specialize in an industry, or if you're FMCG or aeronautics, or you're in your pharmaceuticals, you get pigeonholed into industries. Whereas a lot of digital transformation, it's business strategy, and you can apply that and transfer the skills across different industries. I think it's the part that I love working the most for my sins with startups. But also as a mentor for Enterprise Ireland, it's where you see so many ideas across different industries that you have to be able to switch your mind into so many different business models, revenue models, growth plans, who your target audience is, who you want to speak to, how do you want to grow that internationally, what are the different nuances between different nationalities and cultures. And it's exciting.
Incredible. And if you don't have a digital strategy as a business, what are the challenges that you think a company could face?
They're just not, I don't understand any company who doesn't have a digital strategy, how they can really conceive themselves growing, succeeding, or just competing. The market is infiltrated with new companies starting up. If you look at even companies like Airbnb, Uber, you've got Netflix. I mean, streaming, if you look at all the years, decades of devices that we had from I can't even remember, tape recorders through to iPods, everything. 65% of music revenue is now through streaming in the US, and that's in less than 9 years. So the evolution is that it's not that we always have to be ahead or always change. A lot of those industries aren't being disrupted based on only technology. It's being disrupted because there's a need and a pain that these companies are solving, which is understanding that you don't want to pay late fees for a DVD. You don't want to pay extra or go out and buy every single album when you only want to hear one song for Spotify. You've got pain that's being solved by these companies. They use technology, but it's still the pain and it's still a business strategy at the end of the day.
Incredible. And does leadership in companies have a big part to play?
Massive. For me, leadership is just the key. I've worked with companies where you can see at the onset, if the CEO or the founder or whoever is involved with the senior leadership team doesn't believe in it, everyone will tend to go back to what they know. Change is hard, and bringing people on the journey across the company and across all departments is understanding the fundamental why we're changing and what we want to change, and where we want to be. So if you don't have that, it comes back down to, right, we just have to do this, or this is the way we did it last time, and we know this way, and it's much quicker than trying something new. It is doing all things. We all have those habits, but it's changing a mindset and changing habits. And that comes from leadership across the board. So you need that buy-in. And I hate saying top down, because I think our work culture has completely changed. People see everyone much more on a par. I mean, I believe in surrounding yourself by people smarter than you. There's a lot of people who know a lot more than me. I can help get them there. And that's one of the things I think I describe, is that I'm not necessarily the ideas person to start up my own company and going to change the world. But if someone has an idea, I can execute and make it happen.
Amazing, incredible. And is innovation then part of this journey that companies need to go through?
Completely. But innovation is different across all different industries. I mean, if you look at, so one of the first companies I did this with, and didn't mean to, by the way, it was part of the whole evolution of innovation, was that we had courses, leader in the Irish market, for evening courses and postgrad courses with work experience. And I set up offices in London and in Melbourne, and we just couldn't still get the scale of growth with the return that we anticipated. And this is way before LMSs or EdTech or anything to do with technology. But we did have the internet, and we had an intranet site. So what we did is took the course content that we had, packaged it in a certain way, uploaded it old school to an internet, started marketing that you could do this distance learning. It wasn't even e-learning at the time, it was distance learning. And you could do this at your own pace within a year for less price, and you would get corrected and still get the qualification at the end of it. So by doing that, we increased the profit margin by 80%, because we had no overheads on accommodation, on venues, on trainers, except the people correcting. So that's an innovative part. Startups are the same. A lot of startups can be even stuck at an early stage within a year. They'll change the business model or the proposition or the positioning completely. And it's moving that that can change, that I suppose that can change it, their success model very, very quickly. So recently I worked with a company, and they had built this incredible brand and reputation, but it had all been around a product sale, as opposed to they had actually built a SaaS technology platform, which they just saw recurring revenues, multi-year license, and they couldn't understand why people couldn't see past this. So once we understood the challenge, it was repositioning and bringing all of the members, all of the incredible brand ambassadors on the journey to understand, going, we're actually more. This is continuous piece that you should be investing in your employees. And the lead value went from 1,500 to 15,000 in less than 6 months.
Wow, real numbers, and what an impact on any business's bottom line or sales. And is that one of the primary benefits of innovation in the business, is the sales growth?
It's brand awareness, it's strength, but it's growth. I mean, if you look at marketing, I think for the last, I don't know, however long, we're always said that we're the cost center, like we're the cost, and sales bring in the money. But if you don't have the right positioning, right marketing, and right understanding of your messaging, sales have nothing to sell. You can go out and shout from the rooftops, but if you don't have the website, the technology behind it, the user experience, making it really, really clear, and the processes and language to do that, then, I mean, sales can't sell, even if they're geniuses at sales. You need that support and the processes behind you, between customer experience, user experience, all along the way.
Incredible. And you do a lot of mentoring then with businesses, as well as the corporate clients you have. You do a lot of mentoring then on programs.
Officially and unofficially.
Yeah, that's always the way. You get asked for a lot of cups of coffee.
A lot of cups of coffee. I feel like turning into a coffee sometimes.
I know that story. So brilliant. Yeah. So we must catch up for a cup of coffee, and then you're right. You find out it's a mentoring session, but it's all good. And do you find that the companies that you're interacting with now are more open to digital transformation, and are, is it 80, 90%, 100% are switched on to what they need to be doing online, or you still find that some people are having trouble with that?
No, I think There's still a lot of companies really, really struggling.
Wow.
Again, I don't use the term digital transformation a lot of the time. I will use that when I'm explaining what I do, but it's normally just looking at a company going, why are you not growing? If they're looking for a CMO, or they're looking for a growth person, or they're looking for digital, or they're looking for sales, there's obviously something in the company a little bit stuck. So a lot of the time I'll just go in going, okay, so where do you see yourself? Where is the biggest part? What pain are you solving? And why are you looking to change? And it's those questions. I think there's that process of ask 5 whys, and you just keep asking why and changing the kind of approach. That's how you understand what's actually going on within a company. Because when somebody says they want digital and they need to be more digital, you need to understand what they're looking to achieve by that digital. Otherwise, you could go down a very expensive route. I mean, if you look at Forbes, the latest stat is that 70% of digital transformation initiatives fail. So why do some fail and some not? And that's billions to companies, billions. So if you don't understand your why, you can try and have the best website, the best content, the best sales team, the best everything, but it won't work. And you need that leadership to drive it and bring, I keep talking about the journey, but it's so important. The why and bringing people on that why journey is key.
Incredible. And do you find that there's common problems in different industries and different businesses, or every business is totally different?
Every business is different because every industry is different. But the common theme is they either don't understand the pain that they're solving for their customers, they don't understand who their customers are, or they don't know how to position themselves in the way that they need to because they haven't done that strategy or they haven't done that research themselves. And I'd say they would be the common things. And then some just don't know digital. They don't know how to grow. They don't know the social media, the tone of voice, what they're doing. And they don't know how to implement that across the business.
Incredible. Excellent. And your first point there is really customer focused and actually understanding what the customer is all about and what they're looking for. So I've been down that road before, and had a startup as well before our own business here, and 5 years invested, and raised £1 million, 3 rounds of investment. Amazing journey, but we made a fundamental mistake at the start, and we thought we knew what the customer wanted, but we didn't. And there was no, by the time we got to year 4, there was no correcting that. It was already, we'd lost it in the first 6 months. And back to what your point there, it's just that as you're saying that, I'm going, oh my word. So so I learned that the hard way, I have to say. So customer first, and then every single thing you do.
It is, and I think it's a common mistake, but a lot of customers sometimes don't know what they want either. They couldn't verbalize what it is they want. That's why when I do the why strategy piece, companies themselves don't really know what they want. They just see the revenue piece of the sales requirements. But if you're looking at I read recently The Everything Store by Brad Stone. It's based on the whole story of Amazon and Jeff Bezos. The reason it changed is that he wasn't replacing retail. He was giving customers the experience they wanted. They needed things fast. They wanted to read books that they couldn't get in their local stores. Mm-hmm. They wanted to change. And even the technology that he's moved into now, I mean, they were a huge loss and still not massively profitable for the amount of investment they're still making. But they saw the need of the customer. And again, I wouldn't necessarily go on all Jeff Bezos' values or work with him in that sense, but the vision that a lot of entrepreneurs will see is they see beyond what exists, challenge the status quo of what it is now and what it could be and what could be easier. Even when it doesn't exist at the moment, it is constantly looking or thinking, how could I do this differently?
Incredible. And you have to be very brave to do that as well. Have amazing foresight and be incredibly brave. Another brilliant example, which I love, is Apple and the iPhone. I remember 100 years ago reading an article about someone bringing out a phone with only one button. And I was thinking, it'll never, the world's gone crazy, a phone with one button. And then we have the iPhone. Who'd have thought? So it's those products and companies that change the world, don't they? When they do deliver.
Completely. But I mean, can you imagine not having a phone now?
No, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, everything. If you lose your phone, your banking, your details, your social media, your whole identity, everything is on your phone. Music, everything you love. People can know every single thing about you if they had access to your phone.
Oh,
It's a bit scary, but like it's also exciting.
no, it's totally your diary, your health, your bank, your world. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think now. When was the last time this was more than probably 3 foot away from me when it wasn't on charge? You know, it doesn't exist. It doesn't happen.
And if you forget it at home, you actually feel completely naked or lost for the day.
I've done that, and I've had to go back home. Just I couldn't. There's no point back home. So yeah, exactly. So half an hour back in the road each way. So yeah, you're right. You just can't operate. It's incredible. So how things have come, and that's an amazing story of digital transformation. So if anyone wanted to talk to you, to get some advice, to reach out and have a chat, what's the best way for them to do that?
LinkedIn or Twitter, active on both. It's Louise O'Connor, and it's one N in O'Connor, which is quite unusual. But Louise O'Connor at LinkedIn and also Twitter.
Amazing. And anyone watching this video, make sure you check out. We have links to both Twitter and LinkedIn for Louise below this video, and do reach out and connect, and hopefully not get tortured too much with questions now. But again, Louise, no, thank you very much for your time today. That was incredible, and one of the best definitions of digital transformation, and take me back to what it all is about. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Excellent. And thank you for watching today's video. Hopefully you learned something new like I have. And for sure, please connect with Louise on LinkedIn and Twitter just below this video. And we'll see you in the next video. So thank you again. This is Kieran from Profile Tree.